Logistics of traveling full time, how to do it affordably. What are my top 3 photos? Biggest challenge while living in a car. Sex life. So about a week ago on my Instagram, I asked people to ask me questions to do my first ever Q&A. Dude, my whole life, I've always wanted to do a Q&A video, but I never had enough people who gave a shit about anything to actually do one. So this is really exciting for me. Thank you if you did submit your questions. I actually got way more than I thought I ever would get. And I'm making lunch. I'm trying to be more healthy, so I want to show you what I'm going to eat. This is going to be kind of like a mukbang style, so strap yourselves in, grab a goddamn snack, and let's get this Q&A started. Also, I put timestamps in the description below. Alright, so the first question is, what are the best foods to eat on the road? So that question kind of depends on how willing you are to deal with inconvenience. I hate things that are just inconvenient, and cooking is extremely inconvenient. I don't have a microwave or anything, so all of the things I eat, I don't cook any of it. Even if I eat like canned pasta or something, I just eat it cold. So things like sandwiches, wraps, canned pasta, stuff like that, those are easy things to eat. Also, protein bars are really good. Lots of fruit, lots of vegetables like cucumbers, tomatoes, apples, things you can just eat on the go. And then usually like once a week I'll get like an actual meal somewhere that's warmed and cooked, like a Chipotle or Chick-fil-A. Do I miss anything about my hometown, Charleston, South Carolina? No. Is sleeping in my car sketchy? No. Not really. No one's looking. Like, nobody knows you're in your car sleeping, you know? So imagine you were just leaving your car over for the night, like you're going to stay at a friend's house. Imagine that. And so when I got in that, after like 2 days, I was completely fine. Sex life. Do I miss having a routine? No. I like being able to choose, and I like that it changes based on where I'm at, what I'm doing. I make routines like on a 2-day basis kind of thing. Like I make like a 2-day schedule, sometimes just a 1-day schedule. And I kind of prefer that. It's usually around the same type of stuff, but I never liked that it was already set out for me before when I had a job and I had a schedule. Like I make my own schedule right now. DoorDash is, I schedule as I go. So there's no like thing where I know I have to be somewhere on Monday at 2 o'clock for a shift. It's more just like, hey, I'm here. Do I want to work? Yeah. So it's cool. I really like that. I really like it. It feels very empowering for me. How to make money on the road? DoorDash. Do I meet people on the road? So the first like 2 months, no, I didn't talk to anybody. I was just like, I don't know. I wanted to kind of be like isolated and whatever, but now that I've kind of gotten my fill of that, I'm starting to just like say things to strangers and just like say hi and make conversation, especially since I'm in places I've never been before, so I want to get their like 2 cents on what I should see and like just natural pro tips about the area or something like that. Do you think people who settle down around your age are living life to the same level as me? Sometimes I feel like if you settle down too early, you're just missing out on life. I don't think that makes my life particularly better or higher or whatever. I do think if you settle down too early, you're just gonna miss out, and you'll just never really know what could have been. And so I guess in a way it's like ignorance is bliss kind of thing, but I don't know, I feel like your 20s are more to grow as a person and experience just life, and when you're 30, you use all those things you learn, the skills and experiences and connections, to actually build a career. That makes way more sense in my head because you have so much time, you know? It's not like you turn 30 and now it's over, you can't make it. Like, you still have all your 30s and then all your 40s and then all your 50s. Like, you have so many years to build a career. It's fucking absurd that you think you need to start at 20. I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm 23 and like I don't know enough about anything to like be an expert or start a career. Or otherwise I'm going to work up like the chain and it's just going to be like, I don't know. I just don't think you're missing out on your own potential, I believe, if you don't cash in your 20s. What's something I didn't expect to happen? I didn't expect that waking up in some beautiful, wonderful site, like I'll pop up on the screen right now at the Badlands, it doesn't feel that great. It doesn't even feel good. Like, it's just normal. Like, you don't feel any different if I wake up at a Walmart parking lot in the middle of Idaho, or if I wake up in the fucking most beautiful place in the world. It doesn't really like do much. You think it does, and you're probably thinking to yourself, what the fuck? Like, isn't that the whole thing with like traveling and like waking up at a reservoir? But like, not really. I don't know. For me, it doesn't really matter where I'm at physically. Like, it 100% matters what you're thinking up here. It depends how you are up here, how strong you are, what mental state you're in at the time. If you're in a really bad mental state and you wake up in the most beautiful place in the world, it's not going to matter. And if you wake up in the most blissful, amazing, good spot mentally, and you wake up in a Walmart parking lot, you're gonna be chilling. You can be chilling. Tips for bettering yourself in college. So I graduated college in 2020. So health-wise in college, when you go to the cafeterias, especially if you're like a freshman or sophomore, go to the cafeterias. Usually in the outsides of the cafeteria is the hot lunch area, and they'll usually have a protein source, carb source, and a vegetable source. Stick to those if you can. They have wrap stations and salad stations. Those are phenomenal. You want to try and stay away from the pizza and the fries and the macaroni and cheese. Like, they have that every day. So it's fine if you get that every now and then, but try and stay away from that food because you grossly underestimate how many calories you can fit in one plate. You can fit 2,000 calories in one plate if you really tried. So that's my tip for health. I would definitely say join a class or a group or some kind of social club if you can. If not, get a job. You just want to like put yourself in the best position to form social circles and make friends and stuff. Because chances are in class, it's gonna be hard to like form great bonds just because you're in class and you're not really talking to people that much. Is isolation healthy? Humans are social beings and communal beings. Yes, I 100% stand by the fact that everyone should go at some point on their own, some type of spiritual journey. I call it the Joy Age. Some kind of thing where you go off and you take care of yourself and you make everything happen for yourself. It creates a self-confidence in you that didn't exist before. And I think it's necessary. Everyone needs to. It doesn't have to be like this where you travel and like live in your car for X amount of months. But I do think some level of isolation is good. It builds character. It's good for, especially if you don't trust yourself being alone, it's good to like build calluses, and the main thing is it builds self-esteem and self-confidence in yourself. And that's only if you push yourself. So when you're out there alone, the goal is to push yourself past what you're comfortable. So you have to get used to being uncomfortable. Logistics of traveling full-time, how to do it affordably. You gotta be frugal. Don't go out to eat every single day. Fucking don't pay for parking every single day. Like, that's just not a thing. You can always find free parking. I stand by. I've only paid for parking one time, and I didn't even pay for it. My friend's mom paid for it because I was visiting their family. All the great things in life, they just don't cost anything. So you got to get used to like consumerism, getting that out of your system. I have any interesting stories from living in the car? One time I was in a Whole Foods parking lot in the middle of nowhere, and I saw some dude just peeing. Straight up, like a normal dude, not a homeless person, not someone who looked like they would be peeing in the road, a fucking normal ass like 9-to-5 gentleman in a suit or like in normal clothes. He's out there like right here in his front door, standing, facing away from the car, squatting sort of, and just like peeing, like not even trying to hide it, just like straight up peeing in the parking lot. And I was like 100 feet away, and we made eye contact, and he just turned around, faced his car, and just kept peeing. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And the other one, Marta, if you're probably not watching this, but I met this lady named Marta who I thought was my age. She was just a couple years older. And then, so it's like every guy's dream to be like, to have like a really hot girl that you notice, and then like, you're probably not gonna say anything because, to be honest, we're pussies. And then like they come up to you and talk to you. This is what happened on the middle of a hike. I was in the middle of a hike by myself in Yellowstone, I think, and I saw a lovely looking woman. She had like athletic clothes on, like a hot pink top, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. And I was like, she's alone, I'm alone, that'll be weird, I don't want it. So I just kept hiking, and then like 10 minutes later I was hiking, and I turned around for like a split second just to glance back, and I saw her like following me, and I was like, what is happening? This can't be happening. So I kept walking. Like 20 minutes later, I keep looking, she's still there. She's still like 20 paces behind me, but hasn't said anything. So I was like, okay, maybe we're just on the same hike, whatever, I don't know, I'm still too nervous. Like, she was really, really pretty. And at the very end, we like come out to a clearing, and I just like went to the right just to see what she would do, and I look over, and she's just kind of looking at me, and I was like, hey, and she was like, hey, do you know where you're going? And I was like, oh, I have no idea where I'm going. And she was like, son of a bitch, like, I was following you. And I was like, oh, well, I was gonna go this way, do you want to hike together? And we ended up like hiking all day, and we like became great friends, and it was dope. Marta, if you're watching this, I miss you. You're great. You were so nice. An experience that changed you the most in life or changed my perspective on life? DMT and this trip. Do I wish I had a bigger vehicle? Yeah. I can't afford it though. Unless the crypto market decides to come back and gift me with $100,000, that would be fantastic. What's on my car dash? Oh shit. 3PO. I just broke off his legs by accident trying to pull him off. He's velcroed onto this chair that I have. He's my travel buddy. It's a good time. It's a good time. Have I gone through a spiritual awakening? Yeah. It's been like 3 years. I'm starting to finally make headway. Actually, this trip, the last 3 months. Probably for 3 years, I like it was like this, just like a very, very slow incline, like barely up. And then I was stagnant for like probably a year and a half, just like repeating the same cycles, you know how it is. And this trip forced me to kind of grow, and I'm starting to actually make headway and not spin my wheels. Because when you're out here and you have so much time to think to yourself and so much just like introspection and reflection, it's impossible not to grow and like actually grow, rather than spinning your wheels because you're just like stuck on work or have the same like cycle routine, you know. And I have just no routine. My day changes on the day. What happened to making travel vlogs and cinematic films and stuff? I thought that's what this whole trip was going to be about. It was, and then I made like 3 vlogs and I realized I fucking hate vlogging. Like, I hate it more than anything. It takes away completely from the experience. It's a weird, exaggerated character version of yourself, and I didn't like it because this whole thing was more of a spiritual journey of like finding myself, and it was really, really impossible for me to do both at the same time. No, I really don't think I'm gonna ever bring back vlogs at all, but I am working on 1 cinematic video. I'm probably gonna have 2 of them total, 2, maybe 3, and so I'm working on like the first one right now, actually. Where are the hottest girls? Utah, Idaho so far. I have no idea. I didn't know girls were out here. I didn't know people were out here, but apparently the most beautiful women in the world are here in Utah and Idaho. Do I miss working out consistently? No, not really. I'm working out twice a week and I'm walking every day. I would like to be able to run every day or every other day, and so I think I'm going to switch to Anytime Fitness because I just want to be able to shower more often. I hate that I can only shower twice a week, and then like if I'm in nature I can shower like in a waterfall or something. But I would like to have the option to shower every day if I can, because that would make me like, I'd be able to run in the morning instead of walk, because like I don't really sweat here. It's so dry that you don't really sweat. It's like a thing out here. Because in the East Coast I was sweating so bad. My whole life I sweat, and I was so insecure about it growing up and it was true, like I really did sweat a lot. And so it's nice, like I can take a 2-hour walk in the morning and not be sweaty after. Favorite form of media consumption and production? YouTube, every time. It's not even close. I like long form content. I don't think short form content is like sustainable. It's too quick. There's too many trends. It's so difficult to make meaningful content, I feel like. But also like you can, I don't know. I just believe in like making the long form and then like trimming it down and making it like recycling the content for TikTok and Instagram and Reels and all that. I believe in that long term. You know, I don't have like a 1-year vision or a 3-year vision. Like I have like a 10, 20-year vision. What are some things that have changed since you first started this trip? I used to sleep in Walmart parking lots a lot. Now I've almost exclusively moved to hotels like Hampton Inn, Holiday Inn, Marriott. Because in a hypothetical scenario, I might be going in at 8 a.m. and helping myself to coffee and breakfast in a hypothetical scenario that doesn't exist because I don't do that. But I always stay in hotels now. Great connection usually for like service, and I think it's a little more safer than Walmart. I don't know. In some places out here, especially in the West, living in your car, RV, vans is like way more common, and also like there's homeless people like everywhere, and so I don't know, Walmart's like the spot for everybody, you know, and hotels are a little bit less like that, and I feel just a little bit safer in a hotel parking lot. If I'm not there, if I'm staying in a national park, usually I'll just snag a spot somewhere like low-key in the national park, or I'll drive out a few miles. There's usually BLM land or like RV camps that are always free. Like I'm telling you, I've only paid for parking once, and I didn't even pay. And it was because we were in some like bougie ass place, that's why. Am I gonna cut my hair? Absolutely not. I've had nightmares where I lost my hair, and no, I don't think I'll ever go back to short hair, honestly. Biggest challenge while living in a car, it's gotta be the cooking. Even though I do that to myself, I could easily go and buy an air fryer, I just don't. So that, not having a fridge, so I have a cooler, which means I have to like get ice every like day or every 2 days. And so that's kind of just like inconvenient. And then the shower thing. But again, I could fix all 3 of those if I just wasn't lazy. Could you do this trip with a partner or in a group? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. No. Maybe if I was dating someone and they were my soulmate. But like, even that, I don't think so. What to do when the national parks are crowded? Okay, so I don't know if this is just this year, but the national parks, the famous ones, are unbelievably crowded. Like, it's more like going to Disney World than a national park. It's that busy, you know. The good thing is, if you go on a hike and you go to not one of the busiest ones, you hike more than 10 minutes, you're gonna be on your own. So my advice is don't go to the main parts, or just don't go to the main national parks, you know. The difference between like Yellowstone and the national park right next door is like nothing. there's like one or two like cool sites at Yellowstone, but like they're not that cool because there's so many fucking people there, and it's just not that cool, you know. Like I've been to all the cool places in Yellowstone, they're fine, but like they're not really worth being there with all those people. I don't know. In my opinion, it's not worth it. Just go to the national forest next door, the one that no one talks about, the one no one hears about, because it's gonna be just as good, literally just as good, and it's just gonna be way less crowded. Just don't go to Zion, don't go to Yellowstone. Like, you just don't need to. There's just no reason. What are my top 3 photos? The fox. So a fox walked up to me in Montana. I was in some random back road in Montana, and a fox just came out of nowhere. And I actually got a video of it. I put it on TikTok, and it like went sort of viral. I got like 50,000 views. And I was like, yo, wait right there. And I grabbed my camera, and I was like, this isn't a gun. And I just like started snapping photos. And what a great shot. Like, he was just chilling. He was modeling for me. It was dope. We got his like LinkedIn profile updated and everything. I'm pretty sure I set him up with a good job. Okay, and this shot at the Badlands. I got a bunch of cool pictures of the Badlands. This is like my favorite. It sort of reminds me of like Egypt. That like Egypt theme-esque, which is like my dream shot. If you don't know Egypt, the shot with the pyramids, the camel, the sand, like that's like my bucket shot for sure. So this shot reminds me of it, and it was just like a really clean shot. The sun was right there, right above the peak there, so it's just a beautiful, like flawless shot. And it was one of those that's not like on Pinterest, so you can't like find this photo anywhere. This isn't like a recreation or anything. Like I was on some random hike and I just found this spot, and that's like the best part. It's like I don't like recreating photos and taking pictures that have already been taken, so I'm like, what's the fucking point? And then this was like the first photo I took on this trip, my first night. I almost ran out of gas. That's actually one of the first vlog I think I made, which was actually a great vlog, and it was actually fine to film it because I was kind of like just super pumped about the whole thing, and I hadn't figured out that I hated vlogging yet. So this shot I got was the morning after, and yeah, I remember I was driving in Tennessee, and that was 3 months ago when the Colonial Pipeline burst or whatever happened there, the hack. So there was no gas. It's almost ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere. I ended up just taking a chance, driving 60 miles west, and just finding a gas station, and literally got like the last bit of gas, because right after I got there, and it's all in the video, like 600 people pulled up after. Like, no joke. Like the entire like state of North Carolina pulled up right after me. And I just got really, really lucky, and I don't know what I would have done if I'd lost gas. Like, I would have been completely screwed. And it was my first night, like literally my first night. And that was so beyond stressful, honestly. When I look back on it now, like, I'm so glad I documented it. So I'm still like, I really want to figure out a way that I can somehow either vlog or like capture or document this trip. So I think it's gonna be more of like documenting like a cinematic style movie and do some kind of voiceover. And I want to somehow, like I said earlier, like tie the voiceover in with the podcast, something like that. And also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been pushing hard on the podcast stuff, not so much on this channel. And it's because I really just don't enjoy making videos, because it feels like I'm putting on like an exaggerated show version of myself. And I don't know, so I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this channel. I think it's going to be more of like a hype channel to like set myself up for the podcasts in some way. Or making my content center around what I'm doing on my podcast, because that's what I want to do ultimately. Like, this is fun and it's whatever, but I much prefer the podcast. Like, it feels way more natural, and I'm not putting on a show. I'm not acting at all. And even this right now, like, I'm forcing a little bit of like extroversion and like extra energy that I don't feel right now, just because this video would be like more boring than it already is right now without it, you know? Oh, fuck. And the whole thing where I was saying like I don't want to vlog because it takes away from like my experience and like feeling like I'm growing. And I've been, the last month or so, after I got like the traveling and like seeing all the places out of my system, I realized like how much of a spiritual journey this really was, and how much that I wanted that to be the focus. And so the trip has changed quite a bit now. Like, I'm not like going place to place to place to place like every other day. You know, I was in like another state every 3 days before, and now I'm staying. I'm taking my time. I'm making money. My focus has changed a little bit. Like, I'm working on building my money back up, because I spent a lot of it on crypto, and it hasn't gone back up yet. So I just want to make sure I have like a safety net. But yeah, besides the money part, I'm really focusing on like meditating, taking walks, kind of clearing my head a little bit, and getting some control of my mental. And I've grown so much in the past month or two. I've healed so much fucking trauma in the last 2 months. It is fucking shocking how much trauma. And a lot of it was family stuff growing up. Not that it was anything bad. It was just, I feel like so many kids have these like random childhood traumas that come from just things that happened that no one was really aware of at the time, and now we're very aware of it. TikTok has shed light on a lot of that stuff, and we're all kind of walking around with our baggage. And in my opinion, this is about to get deep, sorry. If you don't deal with this baggage now, this internal trauma, if you want to, I feel like trauma is such a tough word because it sounds super, super intense, and it can feel like that. Even if it's not a big deal, the trauma still like affects you all the time and makes you feel bad maybe. And I was having trouble with like, I wanted to like not speak to anyone in my family for a long time because I feel like that was the only way to get past it. And what I found was that they were willing to work with me. So when I just like spilled it all out and they listened, that helped so much. So if you're struggling, especially if it's something with family, if they can get to a point where they're ready to hear you and listen, and you actually tell them everything and how you're feeling, what this did, and don't blame them or come at them, just like explain this is how I feel. And if both parties are mature enough to grow from that and move past it, then it's the best decision you'll ever make. Because if you don't deal with it now, if you don't have the midlife crisis now and just suffer through all this shit right now, the past month has been shitty, but it's been the most growth I've ever experienced in my life. And if you deal with it now, you won't have to deal with it when you're 50, when it's too fucking late and you've had 25 years of suckiness, where you weren't able to experience like the best relationship with your family, or someone who had like caused you trauma or whatever before, and like it festered for 25 years, like that's gonna be way worse than just dealing with it now. It's the same concept. If you have a toxic relationship, you just let it go on. It's gonna be way fucking harder down the road to get to like fix that, basically, right? So you wanna, like, if you start to feel it and you start to notice this is probably what it is, go ahead and fucking suffer through it right now. You're already suffering, you don't want to suffer your whole life at 30%. Like, don't live your life, running at like 60% capacity because your trauma. Fix your fucking trauma now, fix it now so that you can start living your life at 100% capacity and being capable of being that person that you want to be. It's really hard to become a person that is capable of taking on the world when you have so much shit trauma in your head that you're spending 30% of your day thinking about that, and it's weighing you down. And that's what it is, dude. It's emotional trauma, and the only way to get rid of it is to face it head on and jump straight into the fire. And that's what this whole trip was. I remember I was talking about it on a few podcasts way, way long ago before the trip even started, where there was some TikTok, and it was like, when you get scared, that's when you jump. And for months and months and months, I was thinking about doing the trip, and finally, I got the balls and the courage to just do it and go. And you saw that video. I quit my jobs in like a fit of craziness and just like left in the next week. And I remember in the video, I said, this is either be the worst decision of my life or the best. And I can tell you right now, it was the strongest decision I've ever made, ever. It was the first domino that needed to be pushed over. Like, none of this could happen without that. I'm eternally grateful that I fucking had the balls to do that. And yeah, I'm in such a better place, and there's so many things I've learned that I want to open up on my podcast about. I don't want to make this video like super, super long, even though it's kind of long already. I'm going to go way more in depth on a podcast very soon. I have one coming up on Monday with this guy named Mark, who's really cool. And then the next podcast I want to film super close after that with just me talking. And I just want to like talk about what I've learned on this trip, and like I've gained some really, really solid insight that I don't think you can actually get from many people, and I don't think many people are aware of it because not many people have done something like this. Not to toot my own horn or whatever, but there's a bunch of shit I've learned. There's a bunch of shit I've put myself through, and I think I really have something to offer you. And so I want to make that on a podcast coming up soon. The podcast, as I just said, is my number one goal. It's not even close. Like, this channel's great. I wanted to keep up with, like, document my life a little bit, but the podcast is my long shot. I believe I'm one of the best podcasters ever, honestly, and I've only just started, which sounds like a fucking, I don't know. I mean, I'm learning every podcast. I'm getting better and better every podcast, but I feel very naturally good at it, and it's something I'm working on, and podcasting is like my form of entertainment, and I watch podcasts, but I'm studying the podcasts. And my whole life, I've studied people because I've always been weird. I've always been like the kid who didn't fit into the groups, the one who's not invited to the party. And so I always looked at people and tried to figure out what it was about them that made them click, that made them successful or whatever. And so I've just been a studier of people. So it lent itself very well in conversation. And I've always been good at conversating. I remember growing up. Actually, you know what? I don't want to get into it. Basically, like growing up, I did all those like tests to see what kind of job you're going to get after high school. And they're always like clerk because you're good at talking to people. And I was always like, man, what the fuck? Like, I feel like I have so much more to offer. And now that I found this podcast space, like, this is it. This is it. I'm telling you right now, the podcast will be here in 10 years and it'll be one of the most successful in the world. And I wrote on a long time ago to this manifestation, I want to collaborate with Logan Paul and Peter McKinnon as equals. And I never knew how that would happen because I'm not even close to that caliber of creator. But now that I'm in this space of podcasting where I am 100% capable of becoming on equal par of like level as them. And I will interview both of them at some point in my life. I'm saying it right now. I will interview Logan Paul at some point. Or not interview, but like, you know, the podcast discussion, and Peter McKinnon, my two biggest inspirations. It will happen. And so I just want to say the podcast is, if you want to see more of me, the podcast is where it's going to happen. It's the podcast. That's the answer. That's my answer to the entire Q&A. The podcast is the answer. That little rant just took like way long. It's been 45 minutes of filming somehow. If you've made it to the end of this video, hats off to you. I still don't know if I'm going to make this a podcast or video yet. Maybe just both. I hope you have a great day. And yeah, man, podcast's coming. That's the only thing I know. Like, whenever I make a YouTube video, I don't know when the next one's going to be because I just don't feel like making them, like, ever, really. I really don't. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What I do know for sure is podcasts are coming probably once to twice a week, every week, forever. So that you can count on. Peace. Hope you have a great day.